One is a respected writer.
I see we're just throwing the word respect around willy-nilly now, huh?
The other is a former world champion. This is Boxing with Mannix and Mora. The fighter.
Just how many times did he get punched in the face exactly?
Versus the writer.
It's a cacophony of great analysis and insight. It's true. I said cacophony. It wasn't my best moment.
Follow, rate, and review.
5 stars all day.
And now, here's Chris Mannix and Sergio Mora.
All right. Well rested?
Man, I've overslept, I think, which is good because normally when I'm over here, we're all tired and sleep deprived, but I slept 13 of the 15 hours on the flight. I had about 15 drinks at Qatar at the Doha airport. Luxurious, beautiful airport, by the way. And then I got back here about 4 or 5:30 in the morning, Mannix, and I thought I wasn't going to sleep anymore. I slept another 6 hours. So I'm well rested. I'm ready, baby. Let's go.
I figured you were going to drink at the Qatar airport. The guy that picked up, by the way, we're in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, as you may have guessed, for the Canelo Williams Skull Undisputed Super Middleweight Championship fight on Saturday. You can watch that fight live on DAZN. The guy that picked us up at the airport, Todd Grisham, and I think he's the same guy that picked you up early in the morning. And he was asking kind of about where you were, what you were doing. I'm like, oh, Sergio's coming in hot. Sergio's coming in hot. He's got 8 hours in Qatar, and then he's going to get to Riyadh where he can't drink for a full week. He's coming in hot.
You're going to laugh, but I hugged him at the end. I gave him a tip, and he wasn't accustomed to getting tips because he was with you cheapskates.
Okay.
So I gave him a tip, and then I gave him a hug, and it was the most awkward man hug I think I've ever given anybody. Like, he didn't expect it at all, but I told him, I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Oh, amazing. All right. On this episode, we are not going to get into the stuff happened this weekend. It's a huge weekend in boxing. You've got the fight card in New York City. You've got the fight card in Saudi Arabia. We're going to discuss that on Thursday as part of the Fighter and the Writer show, which, if you've been listening, is available on the DAZN YouTube page. The audio, of course, will be here on the podcast feed. So we're going to do all that on Thursday. So stay tuned for our discussions about that. But I want to talk about some of the newsier items of the last few days, Sergio. And I want to start with the continuing chatter coming from Conor Benn and Chris Eubank. We discussed this after the fight. Phenomenal fight between two just warriors in there, going the full 12-round distance, battling it out, shades of the fights between their fathers back in the day. Now the page turns to what we're going to see next. And Turki Al-Sheikh, who has been bankrolling these ring cards, he says he wants to see that fight at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in September. And my first reaction was, well, that's a pretty quick turnaround time. People may look at this and say, well, it's April. You're talking about September. Well, not really. You're talking about getting back into camp, what, July, I would imagine?
You are learning, Chris Mannix.
Yeah, I mean, you get back into camp that quickly, you're not getting much of a vacation, much of a break, and then you're going straight into what I would expect to be another war. So as a fighter, how do you feel about that kind of quick turnaround? Is that a good idea for both these guys?
See, that's what I'm saying. Now you're learning. As a fighter, it's not a good idea. As a fan, as a promoter, and of course, everyone wants this rematch. It was one of the best British fights I've seen in a long time. And there's been plenty to pick from, but it's up there now. Not because of the famous last names, but because it really panned out. It was magic. Both of them had their moments. But I don't want to see it that early, man. I don't want to see it that early because one of these guys is going to get knocked out, going to get hurt. And I'm probably going to say it's going to be Conor Benn this time around because he's a much smaller fighter. And, I think it's going to take longer for him to recuperate. And it wasn't a beating. It was a physical fight for both. I mean, Eubank Jr. broke his jaw.
No, he didn't break his jaw. Conor Benn said that, but he didn't break his jaw. He was.
Well, it looked swollen.
Well, he was, according to Ben Shalom, it was more about the dehydration, the physical toll 12 rounds took on him. And I can believe that because we saw from the 6th round on of that fight, he looked like he was out of gas.
Yeah, that was a big part to do with it. But those punches that he took as well. I mean, it was a physical fight for both. So no, I don't think it's a good idea for them to come back in September, October. It's a type of fight that it's going to be there no matter when you put it up. I mean, people are going to be wanting that fight, especially in the UK. It's going to be popular next year, at the end of next year, whenever you do it, as long as these guys stay busy with other attractive names. I think that's the best way to go. Or hold off until next year. Let them both recuperate, get some gimme fights in between, and then you can have the mega fight once again. Once they're well rested, both of them have a solid win under their belt. Another one for Eubank. And then it's still, the magic's still going to be there. What's the rush? What is the rush?
Well, if Eubank wasn't 35 years old, I would probably agree with you and say, all right, Conor Benn, go back to welterweight, fight Mario Barrios, fight someone of that ilk, and we'll reconvene on this next year. If Eubank was the same age as Conor Benn, I would agree with you. But Eubank being 35, I think that changed the calculus because you just don't know how many fights Chris Eubank has left. Now, you were a strong proponent on the last show of Eubank fighting Canelo. And that's a fight I could see in the UK.
Until you rained on my parade.
Well, I rained on your parade because I'm simply looking at the calendar, right? Because Canelo Alvarez, his dance card is full for the rest of 2025. If Eubank doesn't fight Ben in 2025, well, then next year I would bet he'd want to target Canelo and look for that big fight. And if Canelo beats Eubank and beats him up, doesn't that diminish a second fight between Eubank and Conor Benn? And doesn't that make it less likely we see Eubank against Conor Benn? Like, Eubank fights Canelo, it's going to be at 168. You think Eubank's going to have the appetite to go back down to 160, a weight that he barely made, didn't really make just this past weekend? Do you think he's really going to want to do that?
No, he's not. But for the money, he will do that because, like you said, he's 35 years old. But he hasn't really been in a lot of physical wars. This was a physical fight. But the second time, I don't think it'll be a physical fight the second time around. If they do fight, Canelo will be a physical fight. So he needs to decide if he's going to cash out, because that's what it will be, Chris. It will be a cash out if he fights against Canelo. And, of course, he'll get a severance package with the Conor Benn one. But those will be two physical fights. And, yeah, everyone will urge Eubank to retire after that. I don't think that's really the way to go. It's either one or the other. One or the other. So either you wait until this Ben fight really materializes, both of you guys get physically healthy, and you get a prime spot for all the right money, and you're the main event on a big soccer stage, or you just hold off and cash out, against Canelo when he's ready, because Canelo will pick you. Canelo's running out of opponents. He's not going to face Benavidez. I don't think Canelo faces Benavidez.
He's going to fight Crawford before the end of the year, most likely in September, most likely in Las Vegas. I think Allegiant Stadium is in play for Canelo against Crawford. And after that, he's going to continue because I think Canelo is obviously a huge favorite against William Skull. Regardless of the size of the event, he's going to be a pretty big favorite against Terrence Crawford. So he's going to want to keep his career going. So I think that a fight against Canelo will be there in 2026 for Chris Eubank Jr. I think if he fights Canelo, it's over with Conor Benn. It's one and done.
So what?
You're talking in circles now.
He's had a long career.
Yes,
Look at his career. He's fought everybody already.
Well, who? Chris Eubank Jr.?
Yeah, I mean, he's fought
Chris
everyone.
Eubank Jr.'s fought everybody
Everybody
already?
on this side of the pond.
Oh, come on. Who? Billy Joe Saunders?
James DeGill.
Okay, there's two. There's a lot of other guys between 160 and 168. Liam Smith? Okay, there's another one.
He's fought champions on this side.
Okay.
But yeah,
he's never won a world championship, though. You can't say he's fought everybody when he's not won a world title.
I agree. He's only fought the fourth, the fifth. What's that? IBA?
IBO, yeah.
IBO. He fought for the fifth.
Well, he fought
ranking.
Saunders for a title years ago and lost that one. He's come up short at that highest of levels. I also think that's outside of a Canelo fight. World titles are probably off the table for him. I think there are two fights left for him. I think for him, fighting Conor Benn in 2025 makes a lot of sense. I just don't want to see it in September. Like, I would like to see that fight punted to December of this year. I mean, you give these guys 3-4 full months off before they get back in the training camp. I think there's enough. Like Conor Benn, you talk about guys not being in wars. Conor Benn's not been in wars either. I understand Eddie Hearn's perspective that you don't want to be in too many of those types of tear-ups. But that's the first one he's ever been in, like by my calculation. Like he went the distance with a guy like a Roscoe and Peter Dobson, but those aren't killers. I think Conor Benn's got more than enough in him to do that one more time. And Chris Eubank, maybe he's a little more shop-worn than Conor Benn, but he should be good to go for another go around there too. Just not in September. That's my point. September is to me a little bit too close after what they just went through.
No, I agree, but December is a tricky month. I mean, December works if it's going to be over here in Riyadh in Saudi, but does December really work in the UK? I know it doesn't really work out here because it's right after the holidays, and December's a tricky month to really put big fights. I really don't know what the climate is like in the UK for those type of fights.
You don't know what the climate's
like?
No,
the climate. No, not as far as the weather. I'm talking about the climate as far as the appetite for the fans. Do they really want to go out?
Didn't when did Fury fight Chisora? Wasn't that like early December or late? That was deep into the winter. That was cold. They did about 70,000, 65,000.
Well, then that's what I'm trying to weigh right now. So if the Brits and the UK fans are willing to go out and pack a soccer stadium in December, where it's outdoors like that, then yeah, of course, December will make sense for everybody. You have it this year. You have back-to-back rematches. They have enough time to prepare. You have way more time to actually promote the fight and make it even bigger than the first one. December makes sense in the UK if it's possible. I know it's tricky out here because of the holidays.
December 3rd, Fury against Chisora. That was at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
There you go.
It was cold. Like I could see the crowd there. That was pretty cold. And I don't know how fighters deal with the cold. That's a subject I want to get to with you later in the week as we start talking about this Garcia, Haney, Teofimo card. But yeah, I think December makes a lot more sense for that fight if they're going to do it in 2025. And it also keeps in play a potential May of 2026 fight against Canelo for Chris Eubank Jr. So I think that's a win-win for everybody. All right. Also this past week, we saw the first face-to-face between Oleksandr Usyk and Benn-Eubank Dubois, who are set to face off in a rematch for the undisputed heavyweight championship in July. It's going to take place over in the UK as well. There was a face-off. There was a little bit of a push from Benn-Eubank Dubois. I like Benn-Eubank Dubois a lot, and he's come a long way in the last few years. He's just not very good at this like trash talky, gimmicky stuff. Like there was the call out of Usyk after his last fight against Fury, and then there's this kind of awkward push. I said a couple weeks ago I would have preferred Joseph Parker. That's not to say this fight isn't great. Benn-Eubank Dubois has earned this opportunity with 3 straight high-level wins. Beats Jarrell Miller, beats Filip Hrgović, beats Anthony Joshua, has the other piece of the heavyweight title. Benn-Eubank Dubois has absolutely earned this right. I guess my question would be, Sergio, early, are you expecting things to be markedly different? Because even though Dubois is a better version of himself, I don't think Usyk's taken one step back at all. And I think you can probably make the argument that Usyk is as good or better than he was 2+ years ago, whatever that was, when he fought Benn-Eubank Dubois.
He's as good, but your skill is bound to hit a point where it's not as sharp anymore. He's 38 years old, Chris Mannix. He's been fighting who knows how long. He's been fighting giants since for the last 5 years. I mean, huge men, 250 plus pounds that outweigh him by 20, 30 pounds.
Distance fights with each one of them, too. Like that's 48 rounds with Joshua and Fury.
He went 2 fights with Fury, 2 fights with Joshua, and now it appears he's going to go 2 fights with Dubois. Those are 3 giants. Yes, this guy's a giant slayer, but your body has a limit. And I just think even though Usyk is a boxer strictly, and that's the reason he's able to outbox these guys, he tries to avoid a physical fight. You have to admit, yes, he's maybe not getting better. He's just as sharp, just as good, just as great. But he has been hit more. He's been in the trenches a little bit longer. I still go back to that debatable low blow, which I want to touch on. You can bet Dubois is going to be targeting that body from beginning, middle, and end. That's going to be the game plan. It's going to be no surprise. He's not going to look at the head of Usyk. He's going to be aiming at the torso and the body. And that's what you have to do with Usyk. That's what every fighter that faces Usyk needs to avoid his head. They need to ignore the fact that he even has an upper body. Go downstairs. And Dubois will have success if he does that the second time around. Anytime Usyk comes at you, you counter the body. Anytime you're going forward, you double, triple jab your way in and throw that right hand to the body. That's going to be the MO if you fight Usyk the second time around. And even though Usyk might win, he will be the favorite. I still want to see that fight.
Can we just circle back to the, quote, debatable low blow? Which
it was a low blow.
It was an accurate way for you to describe it because it has been debated. Like Dubois' side and some people in the media say it was a clean shot. should have been a Dubois knockout. Most people, including everybody representing Oleksandr Usyk, say it was a low blow. I think we're in agreement. It was a low blow. I don't see much dispute there. And some people have. I saw some interviews from this past week. Some people have used the amount of time that Usyk took to recover as some kind of criticism. Well, Sergio, as a fighter, you know this. Like, if a referee is going to give you the full 5 minutes, don't you take the full 5 minutes?
You soak up as much as you can get. Absolutely. Look, the reason there's been so much debate, it's because there was a lot of little, not trickeries. There's a lot of, what do you call that? When deception. When a magician shows you one thing and he deceives you, and then he's actually doing what he wants to do. If you look at certain pictures of that fight where Usyk is bending down, his trunks are all the way up past his navel. You can't even see his hip line, which is where a low blow is supposed to be counted. So a lot of people are seeing the shorts and avoiding the hip line. They're just thinking about the navel. That's it. That's wrong. Second, there's a part where a lot of people were capturing the picture before it actually landed. It does look low whenever you see an uppercut travel northbound and you can't see what's behind it. You look like it's a low blow because you're not there. You're not analyzing every which way. So if you're seeing an uppercut being landed right before the moment of impact, yes, it looks low because it's touching the trunks, but it's not making the actual punch. It's not absorbing. But watch where the punch actually landed, where the four knuckles landed. That was the hip area. So I'm gonna die on this hill. It was not a low blow, but because of the pictures and the different frames and how people see it in different angles, that's what they want to do on. So that's you got to take that one to court. You got to take that one to court and say, you got to have the two best lawyers show their best examples, the best pictures, best videos, and point them all out and say, this is when it landed. This is when ba 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 ba, and then that's how you win the court of the people. But it wasn't a low blow.
It wasn't a low blow. Usyk went down like someone that got hit in the nuts. He didn't go down like someone that had taken a body shot. Usually when guys take a body shot, they kind of
grab their nuts.
No, on a body shot?
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
No,
when they get hit with a low blow, they grab.
And that's what Usyk did. If you watch the replay of that, Usyk looked like a guy that got hit in the nuts. If a guy gets hit with a body shot and is down, they're usually kind of position that yoga pose almost, where they're on their knees but kind of stretched out forward because they're just trying to find, this is at least what I notice, they're trying to find a way to alleviate that pain. And I see that consistently. Guys on the deck holding on to their side, but they're on their knees usually. Usyk was on his butt. He looked like he had been hit in the junk. Like, that's the reality of that situation. And Louis Pabon, the referee, did not rush him. He kept saying, like, if you want to criticize anyone, you can say to the referee, why didn't you get this thing started a little bit earlier? But Usyk took the amount of time the referee gave him, and then he went back and he beat the bag out of Danny Dubois. Like, let's not forget, he won every minute of that fight up until that brief moment where Dubois thought he landed a body shot to hurt him. Look, I'm fascinated by this fight because I think Dubois is a much better fighter. He's a much more confident fighter. And you can certainly make an argument, Sergio, that, like, him believing that was a low blow might have given him some irrational confidence coming into this fight.
Yeah, and that's all you need. Ignorance is bliss. Even if it's false confidence, that's all you need. So Dubois is going to come in here not only with momentum of beating all those names back to back to back, undefeated fighters, knocking out Joshua, and then getting a second crack at Dubois. He's only getting better. He's a younger fighter. He's 10 years younger than Usyk. And like I said, Usyk has a lot of wear and tear from all those years in the amateurs and the pros facing these heavyweights. It's bound to catch up to him. So I think Dubois would have much more success this time around, but I still think, yeah, he'll be the underdog and he'll probably lose a decision. I don't think he gets knocked out this time around, but I still want to see the fight because game plan means a lot. Momentum means a lot. And we know from the past that Usyk doesn't like body shots. I don't know why people don't go back to his amateur days. He has always avoided people that bang him to the body. He reacts really, for as much confidence as he has, he reacts really weird when he gets even remotely close to getting hit downstairs. That's his kryptonite. You know, I like saying that's a fighter has a kryptonite. That's the body shots.
Does anybody like getting hit to the body?
No, but he overreacts. Anytime they even graze him down there, he overreacts. And then if he doesn't get hurt, he makes it a point to, look at the referee or kind of get the attention of the referee saying that was low, even if it's just by the navel. So anytime a fighter goes down there, he's already complaining. I don't want to use the word complain because he's a great fighter. Usyk is a great fighter. So great fighters don't complain. But Usyk complains a lot when it comes to fighters, getting close to that area.
Oh, it's going to be a great fight. Speaking of heavyweight champions, we have another indication that Tyson Fury, the former heavyweight champion, is making a comeback. Fury posted another video on social media, this time featuring his longtime trainer, Sugar Hill Stewart, working out with him. Fury ended the video with the words, "You know what's coming next." I think we all know what's coming next, Sergio. We talked about this a few weeks back when the videos first surfaced of Fury hitting the bag, of him doing long runs. You don't hit the bag and you don't do long runs unless you're preparing to box. And you certainly don't reunite with your trainer at like Planet Fitness if you're not planning to do boxing training and getting back into your fighting shape. So I think if I had the percentage chance of Fury coming back a few weeks ago at like 80, 85%, I would put it at 95 to 97% right now. What about you?
Tyson Fury's not going anywhere. He's not going to leave all that money on the table. It's a fight that should have happened 4 years ago in 2021 for Undisputed. It should have been Tyson Fury against Anthony Joshua, two of the best fighters at the heavyweight division, two champions for all the belts. But it didn't happen because Deontay Wilder wanted his trilogy. And looking back, it was a great decision because that's one of the all-time greatest fights, all-time greatest trilogies in boxing history. So I was wrong on that one. I don't know if you remember, I said Wilder belt blocked Undisputed. He did, but it was well worth it. And that fight wasn't meant to be. It wasn't in the stars for them to line up exactly when they were both undefeated at their peak. Well, not undefeated, but at their peak.
But yeah, both
at their peak.
I think if you look back at the history of that, what AJ probably should have done and probably would have done if he'd known better was walk away from the WBO belt and let Usyk have it.
Yeah, of course. And you're seeing a lot of fighters do that nowadays. But this is before. This is when fighters still wanted the belts because they wanted that championship money. Now that comes second. Now the events, these Riyadh shows. There's a lot more money. So fighters are chasing the money and not the belts this time around. They want the biggest possible fights. Soccer stadiums, I mean, they're getting spoiled. Fans are getting spoiled. Boxing fans are getting spoiled, and the boxers are getting spoiled because now they're fighting in front of 60 to 90,000 people. What is the go to the States and fight in front of 20,000? Doesn't make sense. So I really believe that these guys should have their fight and then call it a day. Even if Fury wins, call it a career. Joshua wins, call it a career. That's a fairy tale. That's exactly what you do because both these guys are coming off losses. Both these guys are not what they used to be, but give the fans the nostalgia they've been waiting for. And it happens all the time in boxing. You always get that fight too late and it's not what you wanted. Say like Mayweather-Pacquiao. It wasn't what you wanted, but we finally got it. Now we can move on with our lives.
Please don't tell people it's going to be like Mayweather-Pacquiao because that was bitterly disappointing.
Or it could be other.
The build-up was great.
It could be other fights that didn't pan out to the greatness of what De La Hoya Trinidad. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of Sugar Ray Leonard, Duran, the third one. But there's a lot of them. There's a lot of fights you could think of where it's like two greats and everyone wants to fight, but then comes too late and it doesn't pan out.
Mosley Mora.
That one happened too early. That one happened too early somehow, or too late, or
He's coming back, and I actually could not agree more with you about it being the swan song for both these guys. I think the winner is probably going to want to continue because it's going to give them reason to. I also think it's certainly possible, Sergio, if it's a really competitive fight, we see them running back. You could do that 2 times, maybe even 3 times if these are competitive fights. But I don't think they should fight anybody but each other. Like if Usyk still has all the belts at the end of this year, there's no reason to see Fury or AJ in. We've seen that movie. We've seen it twice. We don't need to see him fight either one of those guys. I guess if Dubois can unseat Usyk and he has all the belts at the start of next year, maybe Fury against Dubois is interesting. A Brit.
No, but I think by that time Fury already ran its course.
Maybe. I just think that is some intrigue to
anymore.
it. Like AJ, we've already seen him with Dubois, and I don't think we need.
No, AJ and Fury, we've already seen him with everybody. So I just think.
Well, we haven't seen Fury and Dubois.
It's a new crop of heavyweights. There's a lot of. I
think Fury might do well against Dubois. Like Dubois is the kind of guy Fury could compete with, like a power puncher that you can just, jab from the outside, box and move. He's faced guys like that.
What I'm saying is that there's more future in Daniel Dubois thinking for his legacy, for his future, and knocking out the fighters around his around his ratings, around the contenders around him, instead of going for the older, bigger names that can potentially still beat you. So why do you want to go for the George Foremans when you can fight the Leon Spinks of the world? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it, even though these two guys are in the position that they're in, on the, whatever you want to call it, twilight of their careers, back end of their careers, it's still a major event in the UK. Puts 100,000 people in a stadium, does 1 million pay-per-views, still a mass event that I think we should see, and sure sounds like we're probably going to see. All right, last thing for you. Keeping it in the UK, Callum Smith had some comments earlier this week about his next fight. Callum Smith wants to fight David Benavidez, and we've been talking about that a little bit since Callum Smith beat Joshua Buatsi and since David Benavidez moved up to 175 and was looking for big fights. I kind of love that fight. I would favor Benavidez in a pretty significant way. I think his activity is probably a little bit too much for Callum Smith, but that's the next big fight. And the winner of Callum Smith against Benavidez, who will be bizarrely like the unified interim champion with all three interim belts around their waist, like that is the obvious next fight for the winner of Dimitri Bivol against Artur Beterbiev, which we assume is going to happen later this year. So Callum Smith is saying he wants David Benavidez. Sergio, should he want David Benavidez?
I think he deserves David Benavidez. I mean, Callum Smith is on a run. Since moving up to 175, he's a puncher now. And he fills out that weight because he's a tall fighter. He's 6'3". He has a 78-inch reach, Mannix. Whenever you have that long of arms, those wide shoulders, you can move up in weight. And you could see the confidence in his body punching. I mean, I love that Buatsi fight because he was going for the knockout. He was breaking down Buatsi to the body, those uppercuts. Callum Smith, for being such a tall, rangy fighter, he fights probably better on the inside than he does on the outside. And what does Benavidez like to do? He likes to get on the inside with every single fighter because normally he's the big guy in charge. He's the tall guy with the long arms, with the fast, explosive hands on the inside. So it'll be explosive, faster hands by Benavidez versus, I think, heavier, not stronger, but heavier shots from Smith on the inside. And I think Smith is a better body puncher than Benavidez. I know that's gonna sound like what do you call that?
Blasphemy.
Word? Blasphemy to the Mexicans. But I think Callum Smith on the inside is just as good, if not even better, than Benavidez. Benavidez is more explosive. But if you look at the technique, you look at the punches thrown, and just go back and look at Callum Smith versus Buatsi. Don't go back and look at Canelo versus Smith, because then, my argument goes out the window. You look at the fact that this man, Callum Smith, has been fighting for such a long time, comes from a fighting family, a championship bloodline, and the guy could fight, man. And this second part of his career is just going to be just as exciting because guys like that are intelligent. They can actually extend the second chance in the second part of their career because they're smart enough to know they lost to two monsters. Beterbiev, who everyone got knocked out by Beterbiev, and Canelo Alvarez. No shame losing to those two guys. He has another chance to do something great. I think the ceiling's high for Callum Smith. And if he can get a Benavidez fight or anyone else at the super middleweight, I think he gives all of them a run for their money.
I think it's the obvious fight to make. It's the next two best guys at super middleweight. If you do it in the UK, Callum Smith has a fan base there. If you do it in the US, David Benavidez has shown he can draw in Vegas, do a good crowd there. Hell, if they want to bring it over to Saudi Arabia as part of one of these cards, that would certainly be an option as well. David Benavidez is Callum Smith's path back to a world title fight. I mean, Callum Smith is in the final years of his career. He's not looking to hang around and fight B-level fights. He wants to fight A-level fights and put himself in the picture for a world championship rematch against Beterbiev or a shot at Dimitri Bivol. This is the pathway to do it. You beat David Benavidez, you're there. You're the next man up. So I credit Callum Smith for running towards that type of fight. I think David Benavidez will certainly run towards that fight. I hope they get a deal done to make that fight happen sometime pretty soon. All right, you can, I guess, go back to bed for a couple.
No. I've already had too much sleep. But I'll tell you what, you have the same room I have. Have you went into all 3 of your bathrooms, or 2 of your bathrooms?
No, I have not.
They have bidets.
Oh, God.
They have bidets, Chris Mannix. So whenever in that mood, make sure you utilize the bidet. It's a wonderful tool.
They need to wash those.
It's a wonderful
leave.
tool. I'm just recommending it. And I think it's 1900 hours now. We're due downstairs.